That's kind of interesting. Yeah.
That's kind of what happened in our closet, actually. Just like everything is like, that's what I was saying, is like everything is just kind of like in there, and it hasn't like grown and
Mm,
not stuff since we did all
mhm. This is the most key fucking thing.
that.
Yeah, this.
Okay, we are live. Just give me a second, get things set up here.
I don't agree with everything she says. Like,
Mhm.
the idea of using shoe boxes to store like kitchen stuff just sounds like not unsanitary.
Thank you.
I don't agree
Yeah.
with that.
Thank you. Yeah. Also, when she's talking about, which she even admits that it like wasn't the best idea, but when she's talking about like, okay, I don't actually need all these books, so I'm just gonna rip out the pages and
Yeah.
for the ones I need. I'm like, oh, you're a psychopath.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're just.
Or I'm like, or when she talks about like stacking your handbags, I'm like, I just have a bin for mine and I just put them in there and they're all like standing up vertically like she recommends, which I did on her advice. So I can see them all in there, but I'm not going to stack them. That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, or stuff them, like stuff one inside another. That seems to me
Oh,
like
yeah,
wasted effort. I
'cause
didn't understand that either.
Yeah, there's some things like that. It's like that's optimization taken to an insane degree where you're just gonna spend half your time digging like how many layers
Yeah.
deep are you gonna have to go to get
That
to the thing
seemed
you're looking
wild to
for.
me. I didn't understand that.
Yeah, there were some things in there. It's like, what are you
Like,
talking
not doing
about? Nobody would do that. Nobody should do that.
Just stop.
Just stop doing that.
Cut that shit out. Okay. All right. Hey, Alice. Thanks for coming. We have the powerful and infamous Cassette Stress joining us.
Infamous.
Fred.
Yeah, it's
Non-famous. Joining us from coming back from Germany.
Yeah,
This guy's got this back. You were there for like something like 12 days or something.
it's like 10 days. Yeah, saw some stuff. Saw some crazy stuff.
Saw some shit, man.
But when we were over there, we were laughing to ourselves that we ended up finding 2 shows to go to. It's like I can't stay away from going to a show. We had a good time.
You can take the people out of the Nashville, but you can't take the
You
Nashville
can't.
out of the people.
Not a bit.
That's the truth.
Well, thanks for coming. We're
Thanks for having us.
we're talking about the life-changing magic of tidying up, colon the Japanese art of decluttering, something like that.
Well, remember this is yours, so
Yeah, the Japanese art of decluttering and organizing by Maria Kondo. Very interesting book, very interesting person. I did like how it's not very this book's not dry. Like she does talk
Yeah.
about like her life too. Like it's parts of it are autobiographical. Thought that was cool.
yeah.
We were just talking a minute ago about how like this is an obsession she's had since she was like 5 years old.
Yeah, that was one thing that was really funny is about the book to me was just her going through all of the torments that she put various family members through in this whole process of learning or figuring out how to keep things tidy. She's like, no, I'm just gonna come into your room, throw away all your stuff.
Yeah. She's like, I don't recommend this because it's I understand now that's like not a good thing to do. But yeah, she's like she wasn't content with just cleaning up her stuff. She had to clean up the whole house.
Yeah.
She even talks about how like that's because she thinks that's because she was a middle child and like I don't like she just wasn't getting attention, and she also felt like she had to not cause any trouble for her family, which is like kind of a lot to put on a kid.
Yeah.
But it doesn't even sound like she doesn't allude to like her parents putting that on her at all. It's just kind of like how she felt, I guess.
Interesting. Yeah.
Which
I've forgotten about that.
Which I don't know, like it's hard to say like whose fault that is. Like whether she imposed that on herself,
Mhm.
or like if there were things her parents were doing, even if they didn't say it, that like made her
Sure.
feel that way. But
Yeah. Yeah, man, I feel like there are things that are ideas that you can get like that as a kid that can come just from some offhand comment that someone made that they didn't think anything of, but you really take to heart. I can't think of an example, but there are a couple things like that that I've been thinking about recently, that it's just little things that people say to you over the years that you, as a kid, you're like, well, that's just how it is. So you really adopt it,
yeah,
not thinking that maybe that person had no idea what they were talking about or weren't even thinking about what they were saying.
there's this woman I follow on like all the social medias. Her name's Yeonmi Park. You guys know about her?
Mhm.
She's a North Korean defector
Oh yeah.
that talks out about North Korea a lot. And what you're saying reminds me of that, because she's like, what's hard for people outside of this to understand is like I didn't grow up like with a word for like me, like I singular or freedom or like liberty.
Yeah.
Like those are just not, and like it's funny how like, you know, I only speak one language, so it's hard to like put yourself in those shoes, but like language really shapes how you think. um like I think once we start getting older, like we develop like an inner monologue,
Mhm.
and that's it really shapes your worldview. And if you never have a concept for these things, like it's not clear that you would ever think about it.
Yeah.
Like she was talking about how she escaped to China, but it wasn't with the thought of, oh, I'm going to escape. It was with the thought of, oh, there's light, so there's probably food over there.
Yeah,
Like,
man. Yeah.
like so she didn't even like escape on purpose. It was just kind of like a survival thing.
Yeah. Well, that was one thing that was talked about in 1984, that they were trying to remove certain things from the language so that you couldn't even think, you didn't even have the words internally to express an idea that the party didn't want you to think. Like
Yeah,
you couldn't think it because you couldn't put it into words internally.
that touches on like when we did Clockwork
Yeah.
Orange a few months back too, like the nadsat, the
Mhm.
slang that these kids grew up with is actually propaganda
Mm-hmm.
to make them violent, like to make
Yeah.
them act out. Yeah, language is a very powerful thing. It shapes how we think. That's like it can be like a real culture shock, to like go to a non-English speaking country, and um, just they have a different worldview just because of language. Other things too,
Mhm.
but like yeah, it's like I guess whenever I heard Yeonmi Park talk about that, like it's just not something I never really thought about.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it definitely is like a definite like factor in how you behave and think.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's like she talks about Japanese culture a little bit in here too, which is kind of about, what would you say, like traditional like gender roles, and like women are kind of expected to be homemakers.
Mhm.
And so like that was kind of like she was talking about how like her brother would get into like manga, but she would get obsessed with um like home ec magazines and stuff like that.
Okay, yeah.
um so it's like from a young age, this is like I think Maria Kondo, more than like other little Japanese girls, like was into that kind of stuff. Because she was not just into like organizing, but
Yeah.
also like cleaning and like cooking and
Yeah.
things like that. But like organizing became like pretty quickly like a major like obsession for her.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of like really great advice in here that like bleeds out of this field of study. Like that's kind of like what the last chapter is about. Is, or even like in the beginning here, she's talking about how like a lot of her clients just started putting their lives together.
Yeah.
Oh, here it is. Like these are just examples. after your course, I quit my job and launched my own business, doing something I dreamed of doing ever since I was a child. Another one, your course taught me to see what I really need and what I don't. So I got a divorce. Someone I've been wanting to get in touch with recently contacted me. I'm delighted to report that since cleaning up my apartment, I've been able to really increase my sales. My husband and I are getting along much better. I'm amazed to find that just throwing things away has changed me so much. I finally succeeded in losing 10 pounds. So I think it's kind of a cliche, but like how's it go? Something about like a clear space is a clear mind or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, at least for me, yeah, having a lot of stuff around is it's always like a lot of open like open tabs in your browser, or it's like a physical manifestation of a to-do list. It's, you know, walking around and seeing all these things. It's always a whole bunch of stuff that I have to do, and it's a constant noise, you know. And you know, we've been trying to do some cleaning out of things the last couple of years, and I mean, it's really interesting how it kind of like quiets down certain things. Like I can walk in certain closets now, and there's not this just, you know, both visual and sort of mental explosion of chaos of like, oh, I've got to do this, I got to find this, I need to do all this, but putting things up. I don't know. It clears out both the physical and, you know, the mental chaos.
Yeah. I think like that's kind of something she talks about a lot, is like it's a mindset thing.
Yeah.
Like it's not about her going in and like cleaning someone's house. It's about
Yeah.
teaching them a new way of thinking about it so that they'll approach it differently. Like there was a thing later on where she opened up a cupboard and sees a bunch of labels, and she's like, these words, like you don't understand how like loud and intrusive that is.
I love that. I really thought about that. I want to pull labels off stuff now. Yeah. It seems, like that would really like make a closet or a cabinet look really refreshing.
Yeah, like it reminds me of like if you're watching like, I don't know, like a sitcom or even like a cartoon, it's like they open up the shelf and there's no labels, like it's just jars. And that sounds nice. It does sound refreshing. She even talks about how like even if you're not seeing it, like those words are still loud, like there's a presence to it. And I think that's very true.
Yeah. Man, the whole thing about this book getting so popular, I think it's just an interesting, you know, commentary on, you know, the relationship with stuff that we have in this country. And you know that I don't know what the number is, but the huge number of square footage of storage space like around the country at like storage units, and just, I mean, it's endless. And I don't know. I think there seems to be this cultural inability to deal with that on a widespread basis.
It's also, if you have like my grandparents lived through the Great Depression, and they passed on some of those values to my parents, who then like passed on some of those to me, which is like, oh, I might need this for the future, I better not get rid of it. Like, and you know, I feel like I was always taught that. And I think some of that stemmed from living through that time.
Yeah, at different times. Yeah, if you grow up with the scarcity, it's like it can be harder to get rid of things for sure. Like you said, people coming out of depression, or like one of the first books we did on this show was Mouse, which is actually a comic book.
Oh yeah.
And that was actually something that like his dad survived the Holocaust, and he was kind of like that, kind of like not just a hoarder, but also just like extremely frugal.
Yeah.
Like to the point where he's like, Dad, like chill.
Yeah.
I can definitely see like I mean, it's just true that we take a lot for granted. It's hard not to in this culture. But you know, it wasn't that long ago that things weren't great, and they're kind of like we're kind of got our own kind of depression going on right now, but it's still not as extreme as that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny that you brought up storage because I work in storage. Like and I thought about that too when I was reading this. Like, most of my tenants are like lifers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's older people a lot of the time that are holding on to things, and it makes you wonder, like, at a certain point you've sunk so much money into these things, like just storing them, that like you've met the value point of the items in there and exceeded it
Easily.
Like with some exceptions, but not a lot. Like I have tenants that have like antique cars and stuff like that, where it's like that's a little bit more understandable, right? It's like
only if they're driving it though.
only wait, and they're not. And I think that's it's more of a sentimental thing a lot of the time, but it is such a huge industry. Like the storage industry is not going anywhere, and it's doing just fine, because people have a ton of shit that they can't get rid of, and like if it wouldn't be in my best interest to, but a lot of them would benefit from reading this. One on storage and getting rid of things, I like her approach to it's not about what you can get rid of, instead focus on what you can keep, which that's more of you're going to end up, if you approach it that way, you're going to end up with a lot less things.
Right.
If you, instead of like, okay, I guess I can get rid of this, it's like, okay, I'm getting rid of everything, what do I have to have? That's a much better way of approaching it. And also the spark joy stuff. Like everything you surround yourself with should inspire you and make you happy. Or like you can't live without it, kind of. That's like, why don't we all do that?
Also with digital photos today and having endless ability to store those, when we moved out of our old house, I took pictures of a lot of things and then got rid of them. And so I don't need the physical item anymore, but I have a picture in case I want to like remember it. And that's like good as having the physical item, really. In the end. On
pictures too, like she talks about like photo albums and stuff like that, which I think is kind of like a little outdated because of digital storage. But even then she was like, if you're going to keep photos, maybe like if you have like 20 photos of a family outing, just pick the best 3 to 5 that, like, because that's going to bring up memories of the other ones, which I think might actually be like, that might mean more than having a whole bunch, because it's like now you're forcing your mind to remember rather than relying on these things. Sorry, I was going to say something, but did you have something?
No, I was just thinking about what you're saying. Continue. And
I was just going to move on to the there's a part here. We were talking a little bit about how she's a little wacky. She's a little a lot of eccentric. Like you were talking about the shoebox thing, like kitchen utensils in your shoebox, and she admits that it was not, the best idea she had, but she even talks about how, like, instead of keeping all these books, maybe, just keep the parts of the book that you like really enjoyed. I'm like, I'm reading that and I'm like, you're just ripping up books and like keeping the pages you want. Like, that's insane. That's absolutely.
I mean, the amount of time and energy that you would then take to like have to figure out how to store these random pages devoid of context. Like,
she also mentioned transcribing quotes from the books, so having to like physically like write all of those like favorite passages down.
Bonkers.
I'm not gonna do it.
That's insanity. But on that, there's a passage here where she talks about she says, one day after school I opened the door to my room and began cleaning as usual. At the sight of that untidy space, I finally lost it. I don't want to tidy anymore, I cried. plopping myself down into the middle of my room. I began to think I had spent 3 years tidying and discarding things, yet my room still felt cluttered. Would someone please tell me why my room isn't tidying when I work so hard at it? Although I did not say this out loud, in my heart, I was practically shouting. At that moment, I heard a voice. Look more closely at what is there. What do you mean? I look at what's here so closely every day I could drill a hole through it all. With that thought still in my head, I fell fast asleep right there on the floor. If I'd been a little smarter, I would have realized before I became so neurotic that focusing solely on throwing things away can only bring unhappiness. Because we should be choosing what we want to keep, not what we want to get rid of. So there's a couple of ways you can read that. But the way I'm reading this is like, she made herself so neurotic, focused on cleaning, that she heard a voice in her head, which she is like more or less religious. Like she talks about like shrines and stuff in here, but she might be being like hyperbolic a little bit here, but she's crazy.
Yeah.
She's absolutely insane. She has a voice in her head that told her, would someone it said, look more closely at what is there. And like she's like, what do you mean, God? I don't know.
It's like I've been looking at these spice rack for 9 hours. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
All my Lucky Charms have expired. They're more than a year old.
Yeah. Oh man. It's I on that, I do actually want to make a shrine, like an altar in my room, because like just like things of reverence. And I did like what she said about like it should be on the top shelf. That way you have to look up at it. Like there's like a degree of reverence with that. So I mean, you know,
There's a lot going on in the book.
but like I had to stop there when I read that, and I'm like how much does she mean what she's saying here? You know, like, oh, and also just like she treats everything she has like it's actually alive. Like she talks to her shoes. And
how do you feel about that?
it's a lot to take in. That it reminds me of like feng shui concepts. Like it also reminds me of that's kind of the idea of like an enchanted object, like a wand or an enchanted weapon or something, or a talisman, like the charms she has and stuff is like any craftsman can relate to. If you use a tool often, you have a connection to that thing. It feels like an extension of you, whether that's like a samurai with a sword, or like for like a carpenter, like a saw or a hammer or something. It's like they have an affinity with that object that they're going to be better at wielding it than someone else will. And a different tool might feel odd. Like you have to build up a new connection with that thing. I think that's a very real thing. Like what comes to mind for me is what objects can you really?
I have a couple of like tools I use for electronics that like there's certain wire cutters and things that I have that I've been using for so long that I'm just like I just know what it's gonna do. And if I pick up another one, I'm like, because I've left them in the other room, it just doesn't work as well. It's just not the same.
Yeah. There's a connection with that. I definitely like what came to my mind when I was thinking about it is like I used to clean pools. So I had like these huge channel locks, like this big, and like I would use those for everything. Like use the back of it as a hammer, you know, and like like when I'm cleaning pools and like there's a big dog, it's like I would never hit him, but like kind of like back up. Like I would use it for everything. Like and like if I had like when they broke and I had to get a new pair of channel locks, that was a sad thing. Because it's like even if they're better, it's like I'm not used to these yet.
For
the
sure.
handle's too new, or like you have to break these in or something.
It just doesn't you don't have as much of an sort of automatic command of like how to get the tool to do what you want it to do. The same way.
So that's definitely like a real thing. Like I think that can be true of like articles of clothes too. It's like when you have a pair of shoes that you've had for a long time, they just fit better than like new shoes. They have to be broken in. There's lots of things like that. Like I have a snowboard that I really love. It's like one of my like favorite possessions, even though I don't go snowboarding very often. Like when I get band stickers, that's my favorite bands go on my snowboard. Like I got a cassette stress sticker on there.
Thanks.
And that's kind of my shrine is the stickers on my snowboard. And um I've like there have been times where I'm like in North Carolina or something, and as a last minute decision, we go snowboarding, and it's like I almost don't even want to without my board because it's like it just doesn't feel right. Like skateboarding is kind of the same way too. Like you have your trucks tightened a certain way. It's just not the same.
Yeah.
It's not the same. So I think that there's definitely a lot of truth to that. Like that's probably, even if it's not as noticeable as something you hold in your hand or like put on your feet, everything we have an affinity with. Oh, like my car, another example. It's like driving a car that you're not used to.
Yeah.
You can still do it, but it doesn't feel like an extension of you.
For sure.
It's not, you got to learn how to do that.
Yeah.
Driving every car is a little different.
And it's really hard to let go of cars that you've had for a long time.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So I think we do have a bond with the things we own, and I think it would benefit everyone to have a little bit more reverence for that bond, like to be grateful for the things, especially things you use all the time. So I think she's got the right idea there. There's also like to take it like to a really heady place, there's a name for that, where like even objects have a degree of consciousness. I can't remember what that's called.
That animism?
Maybe.
Might be.
I can't. Yeah, that might be right.
Is that from Japanese culture, or is that something completely different?
I don't know. Do you know?
I think there may be some degree of animism in Shinto.
Okay.
Maybe.
I think. Oh, we were talking about feng shui. I think that's a feng shui thing, which is Chinese, or is that Japanese also? I don't know.
I'm not sure. Actually.
But that's like 3000 BC. Like feng shui is ancient.
Yeah.
So I don't actually know how old Shintoism is, but I'm sure it's a thing in like a lot of spiritual concepts. Because this is true. It's kind of something people know a little bit, like whether that thing is actually alive or it's a reflection of your consciousness onto that thing. There's a degree of truth to that. So I'm sure it's in a lot of like ancient philosophy.
Yeah. Well, what you were saying about the tools and the things that really, you really use well and feel a bond with that. That kind of goes back or brings back around to, I think the central premise of this book is that you should hang on to those things, the things that you really have a connection with, and prioritize having those, and using them and having them present, and getting rid of things that don't fall into that category, in that they may be a distraction from the things that you really have a connection with and a great use of.
Yeah.
I also appreciated how she talked about just items from your past, how, and it was so well phrased. I wish I could remember exactly where it was in the book. But how, items from your past, like those taught you something at that point in your life, but it's time to kind of like move on from that. Like you're living in the now, and be present. Like that's where the value is in your life. Those are the things that spark joy. Like, be where you are now, and just, thank those things for the role that they played in your past, but then move on from them. And I really like that, because I think it's, that's, as she was talking about, it's really hard to let go of sentimental things. But it was the way that she phrased it that made me think about it differently in that way.
Yeah, she's very good with the way she words stuff.
Yeah.
And that's definitely true. Like when, especially when someone's giving you something, it's like,
for sure.
actually, like, what do you guys think about this? Like, so a friend of mine gave me a top that I don't like, and I'm never going to wear it.
Yeah.
And it's like going through stuff and deciding whether or not to get rid of that. Like it still has the tag on it.
Yeah.
And I'm just not ever gonna wear that.
Yeah.
And it's like, what do you do with stuff like that?
I don't know if this is in this book, but I think I've seen this somewhere else in that the purpose of a gift is in the giving of it and then the receiving of it. And then
She says that.
okay,
She
that
does.
maybe that was
Yeah.
from there. And I think I've seen that other places too, but that once that has taken place, then what becomes of it after that, its purpose as a gift has been fulfilled, and its existence after that, whether it's something you use or say this is not me and pass on, that's an entirely separate question.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think yeah, she does talk about that. That's about like you have to reassess what something's purpose is for you. Like not everything is meant to be with you for life. Sometimes it's meant to, that's what it is. She talks about how that's true with people too. Not everyone you ever meet is meant to be like someone you keep around in your life all the time. Sometimes a relationship can be there to have taught you something. And it's not a tragedy that has ended if you don't look at it that way.
Right.
Like the use of that thing is now fulfilled its purpose. So it's like that can be true of even like a bad experience. It's like sometimes like people in your life that like weren't good for you at all, like that's a toxic relationship, but it still had its value because it taught you something either about yourself or about what you do and don't want out of people.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, it's just hard, like you were saying, it's hard to get rid of sentimental stuff. It's hard to get rid of gifts. But it is like we were talking about earlier, if you approach it from the point of like things I need to keep versus things I like can get rid of, like it's a completely different approach to it. Like I know I need to get rid of this top, but it's like it's just hard because it's like I feel guilty over that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's I think that's why I think that's another reason why this book was so popular, because it addresses that. It's not just sort of this mechanical, this is a checklist that you go through to clean out such and such thing. It's also acknowledging the fact that these things have a meaning out great, that we ascribe to them, greater than just like, oh, this is a coffee cup that I have one too many, but oh, somebody gave me that, and all that. There are all these meanings that we attach to objects, and I think if you don't address that as part of cleaning out philosophy or determining what you want to keep around, it's incomplete.
Yeah. It's a very all or nothing kind of mindset. Like you're either doing this KonMari or method, or you're not. And there's a part here where she's talking about books and like seminar material, like and she's like, this is just so true. Like it's paradoxical, but I believe that precisely because we hang on to such materials, we fail to put what we learn into practice. It's like, I need this material because maybe one day I'll learn how to do that. But you're never going to learn how to do that if you still have that thing, because you're like, well, I can do it later.
Yeah.
You just put it off, procrastination.
Yeah.
And like, that's so true. Yeah. Like that one, like, I'm like, yeah. And she even says, like, even if you feel that way about this book, like, don't keep it, because you may not apply what you need out of it. So that's really cool. I think that's a trap like I fall into, where like this is material I'm interested in studying this. Like I've got some stuff on like palmistry and like different stuff on like astrology that I've never cracked open and learned about because I have it. Like there's no urgency to it. Maybe I'll do it on book club just to have an excuse for it. But yeah, I think when it comes to like material like that, it you can definitely get in a trap of just accumulating it. I think she also talks about like things have a designated place. They can't just go anywhere. I think that's true too, because then you know what you're accumulating. I was thinking it'd be so nice to know where everything I have is.
Yeah.
Because I have so many things. I'm like, where the fuck is that?
Yeah.
And it's like, do I even have that anymore? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I own because like I have a storage unit.
Right.
I have like clutter. So it's like, yeah, I haven't applied anything from this book yet. I mean, because you know, I was in the process of reading it. But I'm definitely going to. And I think it's given me like a vigor to do that. Like I'm not a organized person, but this has made me excited to go through things, which I think is probably the thing that's helped me the most about this is giving me a desire to clean and organize.
Yeah.
She's made me excited to do that, whereas like nothing's ever done that before.
Yeah.
Also she talks about how if you are the kind of person that is critiquing other people's, like your housemates or someone for their cleanliness, it's probably because you're not doing that. And I think like I wish Phil was here because me and Phil fight about like I'm like, oh, I wish he wouldn't do that. But that this has caused me kind of reflect. It's like, wait, but do I do that?
Yeah.
It's like, you know, and like she talks about like leading by example is the best way to, and it's so contagious. Like the other day, like I was picking things up and I didn't even say anything, and Phil started picking things up too.
Right.
Like it's hard to not when people start picking things up.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I think like for me personally, because the same things happen like where he's cleaning and I'm just like, I can't not do that now.
Yeah.
And I think it has to do with guilt, where it's like because you know that you should.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's guilt. I guess it's also, I don't know, sort of this idea of, well, this is what we're doing. We're doing this right now. You know, this is already in progress.
Yeah.
We're just gonna do it.
That reminds me of a conversation me and Neef were having too, where it's like he was talking about how people can, primarily like young men, but I think it's true of everyone, will like we can kind of like chide each other, where it's like we're just like, and he was talking about how that's actually kind of like in the wilderness, like cubs will enact hunting. Like lion cubs will like they'll like sneak up on each other pouts and then they'll wrestle, and it's like in a like civilized society, like I mean kids wrestle, but then as they get older it starts to become more of a verbal thing, because it's like we're still enacting these ancient rituals that are instinctual, but it becomes more of like that's a civilized version of it.
Sure.
And I don't it got me thinking, like, I don't know if I completely agree about that, because like if I like poke fun at one of you guys, it's not an attempt to like assert dominance in a like that's just I don't know how much I agree about that, but that's just a conversation we were having. But it is an interesting thing though, like what causes these behaviors. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that can be definitely true with like groups of guys when you're younger. That just tends to be much more of thing, people kind of pulling each other's tail. And I don't know, it's sort of, yeah, I don't really know how to describe it. Kind of like seeing if everybody can be in the group, can, yeah, I don't have really a good way to describe it.
Well, what brought on the conversation is I made a comment to a female friend that hurt their feelings, and I was like kind of defending my stance on it, where I'm like, well, I could have said it to this person or this person, and it would have just breezed right over. It wouldn't have been a problem. And Neve and I were just kind of talking about, he's like, well, that's what you're doing is like enacting like a fight.
Mhm.
And like maybe not everyone wants to do that,
Yeah.
but like I guess that is kind of what I'm doing, but like if it is, it's like a very subconscious thing.
Mhm.
Like it's not intentional, right?
Yeah.
But maybe there is something to that. Maybe that is why people do that, is it's like you're like, okay, sparring is about defense.
Mhm.
It's not about actually hurting someone, but it's about
Right.
practicing, not even like practicing like attack, but
Mhm.
practicing defense.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what are your boundaries? How far can I push
Mhm.
you, and what can you take? What can you give back?
Right.
So like, I don't know, maybe there is a lot of truth to that. It's something I have to think about more. But I don't know that it always goes that deep either. Because like that's something I do a lot with my friends, is like
Yeah.
we're always fucking with each other.
Yeah.
And I don't really feel like if one of them even says something kind of cutting, I don't ever feel lesser than them because of that. I don't feel like
Mhm.
I've been knocked down a peg in this social hierarchy or anything.
Right.
And like vice versa, I don't feel like I've gained a leg up on someone.
Yeah.
So I don't know how true that all is. It's kind of, I guess I'm only bringing it up because I want to know what you guys think about that. But
Yeah, that I was thinking about this and reading something about it a while ago, and I haven't thought about it or really like kind of like put those thoughts into coherent form in a minute. So I just like I can't even remember, you know, I don't know if you ever did this. You kind of have this whole structure of you're like, okay, I think I figured out how this goes, and then you hadn't thought about it a while, and you're like, now I forgot my whole, philosophy that I had come up with for myself about
oh
this whole
sure,
thing.
yeah, that's definitely happened to me
So
before.
I've totally forgotten what I was thinking about it.
It's a complicated thing.
Mhm.
Like, I don't think it's really, I mean, shit, like just social interaction is there's a lot of moving pieces to it.
Mhm.
It's a complicated network to navigate,
Yeah.
especially nowadays. Like, I don't know, it can be really easy to like hurt someone's feelings and it become like a problem. Like, and I'm not the most like careful person. Like, I can make I have like a really, like, I grew up with people that's like we have like a really thick skin. Like we can take it like pretty far and like
Yeah.
be okay. But not everyone can do that. And that's not, I guess if I'm being honest, like I kind of like if I can't do that, I feel like I'm coddling someone.
Mhm.
And it's like, so maybe I don't have the same like respect for them that I do
Yeah.
someone that I can, because it's like now I have to treat you like
Mhm.
like if I'm treating you like an equal in my mind, that means I can make these kind of remarks and take it back from you. But it's like if I feel like I have to censor myself around you, it's not,
Right.
maybe I don't actually like respect you that much. And that's an issue with me, not an issue with anyone else.
Do you find that happens? You run into that more like face to face, or is that more over like text and DMs and stuff like that? 'Cause I feel like there's definitely a remove created by technology that's
It's so easy to misinterpret like
Mm.
intent behind.
yeah, well, I mean, there's no tone of voice, there's
Messages
no body
online,
language, and I think you can intentionally hide things and
Oh.
text and other communication, but it's also very easy for things to be misinterpreted. But at the same time, that what you're talking about can also hold like interacting with people in person. I mean, some people just like take things hard.
The issue I had recently was like the problem that arose was something I said in person. And I'm not going to repeat what I said because it was pretty edgy. Like that was not, in retrospect, was kind of brutal. But like that being said, I could have said that to a lot of people and it not a bit like they would have laughed about it.
Yeah.
But this really hurt this person's feelings. And I feel really bad that it hurt their feelings and I've apologized for it. But it's like, that being said, it does happen a lot over text too.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Like that is definitely a thing because English is so contextual.
Mhm.
Like, this is May, she's here. So if you guys want to carry on for like a minute or two, I'll be right back. We'll pick up.
I'm gonna try to find that thing that was
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
more about like the past,
Yeah.
because that was really
Yeah, this is sort of like reading this book is sort of if there are two kind of sides to approach the desire to clean things out or to get some sort of organization in your life. This is definitely the carrot. Like watching something like Hoarders is definitely the stick because hey, how's it going? Because you definitely watch them like that and feel like
You can sit here.
that this is happening to me. I'm gonna be living. Hey, how's it going? Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
You too. All right, where do I sit?
You can sit here or I'll pull this one up.
Either way.
We're live right now.
Oh,
May Sadiqman joins the party.
Sadiqman.
May of
Nice.
Am I saying it wrong?
Sadiqman.
Sadiqman.
But I like Sadiqman.
Sadiqman. We'll just stick to May of Faye then.
Okay, yeah. I have 1,000 names.
We were just talking about the life-changing magic of tidying up.
Oh, yes.
It's very interesting. There's a lot of deep concepts in this. But actually, about is I was saying that I recently said something to a friend of mine that really hurt her feelings, and it was something that I didn't know. Like it's something I could have said to a lot of people. Like I probably could have said it to you. I'm not going to repeat it, but I probably could have said it to you, and you would have laughed. You know?
No, you must.
No,
Repeat it now. Okay, fine.
No, maybe later.
Okay, I understand. All right.
But it's, I don't know, like it's I didn't mean to hurt this person's feelings, but it did. It kind of like it cut them kind of deep. And I don't know, like we were talking about like why do people do that? Like because that's what I do with my friends a lot of the time, like with Kiever and Phil and Evan. It's like we'll kind of like push each other.
Yeah.
And like we'll make little comments at each other, like but it's not serious. Like that's just kind of what we do. And we were talking about how like that's kind of like animal behavior, like when cubs will like kind of like play fight.
Yeah.
That's kind of what is going on, except it's not that like we're not, at least I'm not like doing that on purpose like that.
Yeah.
It's like a very subconscious thing if that is what's going on. So
Yes.
I don't know, do you have any thoughts about that?
I do. I have many siblings and family members that feel their humor isn't always a nice one, and everyone in the family has their turn at it, and so you can't even at some point you can't even play like the singled out victim. It's like everyone's doing it to each other, but at some point I do think that there's an evolution in it, because it does, if you're in that space with your friends, it seems you're already in that comfort zone. Like you can hang out and just say whatever and be your, authentic self. And sometimes we're more sarcastic than others or cynical, or that's how, we show our love and affection through humor. And I think that that can evolve into more nicer realms, like where it gets deeper when you can suddenly say, by the way, I'm kind of over this joke, and just express that to your surroundings. And if they can accept that and work on that, then that even deepens the relationship. So there's like different, in my opinion, levels of evolution to closeness and healthy closeness.
I guess it's not like it's like you're saying, it's kind of like you have to set where those boundaries are with each individual.
Yeah.
It's not like you can't make the same conversation or make the same comment to everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like just now understanding that like for the first time in my life is because I kind of treat everyone the same. And that's not good. That's not a good thing to do, actually, because in theory it is, right? It's like treat everyone the same, treat everyone the way you want to be treated. I like kind of like play fighting with people. Not everyone likes that. Not everyone wants to do that, and that's not something
like
wrong
physical
with them.
play fighting.
No. No, I can be kind of cutting with my words sometimes.
Okay.
But like playfully, I'm not trying. I
Yeah.
mean, also not playfully, I can be a dick.
Oh,
But that's not for everyone, and that's not something wrong with them. It's just you got to learn how to be tactful, and I'm just now understanding that for the first time.
Yeah. Ooh.
So something else we were talking about earlier is I have this shirt that someone gave me, still has the tag on it. I'm never going to wear it. What do you do with something like that? Because it's like, if I feel bad just getting rid of that.
Right. You won't wear it. Like you're not interested.
It's never
in
going to
it.
happen.
Yeah. I've been practicing like this. At this point, I would call it, because I've been moving around a lot, but now I'm like, all right, no, I'm going to stay in one place for a little bit. Somewhat minimalist, I would say. Not full force minimalist, but somewhat minimalist. And especially with clothing and accessories, if I really, if I wear it a few times and I notice that every time I've worn it, I didn't feel great, just wasn't either fitting right or the mood wasn't right, then I'll think about what do I do with it. And you can always get into the space of, all right, what if I, sold it or, marketplace or gave it to a friend or whatnot. I realized that the easiest and quickest answer to that, if it is literally sitting in your room for more than a week, and that's a long time, donate it. I always have a pile of Goodwill donations. And if I think they're Buffalo Exchange worthy, you never know with that place, then I'll take it to Buffalo Exchange and maybe swap it out for clothing in the store or money, whatever.
Yeah.
But always get it out of the house.
Yeah, I know that's what I have to do. It's just hard.
Well, I think you got to apply the does this thing spark joy? If
Yeah.
it's not, it makes you feel
Yeah.
guilty every time you look at
Oh,
it.
true. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
actually weighing me
there you
down.
go.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
there you go.
It's not just neutral. That's having a negative effect on me.
Exactly.
I just
Yeah.
got rid of a gift I got years and years ago. And I know the person thought about me, and I know that it had similar aesthetics to, my house and the things I resonate with. But I don't know, something about it wasn't feeling right for me. And then I was like, oh no, but I've had this for so long and it's sentimental. I recently got rid of it. I feel good.
Yeah, like lighter, like a weight's been lifted off of you.
Yeah, because you look at it and you're feeling something.
Yeah. Yep. It's hard to do, but that's healthy. That's a healthy thing to do.
And it's a muscle.
My parents moved to the Poconos, like upstate Philadelphia or Pennsylvania.
Oh, yeah.
Get those two confused.
I have no idea.
They
Poconos
start with
sounds-
a P, end with an A, same place. But they left me like, oh, you can have all this furniture. Because I'll be eventually moving into a new place. And the place I moved into has no room for any of this. So like I just have like a 10 by 20 storage unit just full of shit that I may or may not use one day. And it's like, I don't know, they wouldn't feel any certain way if I like were to get rid of it. But I'm kind of like, I'm not going to be where I'm at forever. And I have, if I move into a new place, I have a fully furnished home already.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm kind of hanging on to it for that reason. But yeah, stuff can like, it can get away from you, like how much stuff you have. Like, and I'm definitely going to apply a lot of the stuff I've learned from this, because I'm accumulating a lot of shit.
Think about when I
Very
moved
big.
apartments really early on, right after school, and everything I had would fit in one car. It was amazing. Just those days, like how freeing that was to just like pack up your apartment and be like, well, this is all I've got.
I'm gonna go now.
Yeah.
That would be really nice.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah. Have you guys applied anything from this yet? Have you had time to?
I read it
Some of
a lot. Yeah, I've been reading a lot of these type of things because I definitely have a hoarder streak, so I have to constantly like stay on top of. We were talking about this when you were going to answer the door. I was saying that there are two different things if you're trying to get rid of things or change your philosophy. This is the carrot. This is the nice way. For Mason was I have to sit down and watch that show Hoarders. I'm like, I'm becoming this. I'm gonna be living in a trash bag with like a bunch of roaches and
Oh,
like
no.
old newspapers and like, butter tubs or whatever. So I better start throwing things away.
Yeah.
I know I watched some
Yeah.
of the Netflix show when we first moved into our house a couple years ago, and I organized our walk-in closet with a lot of these principles and how like fold clothes and how things are organized. There's a few more things I can do after reading the book that I got some ideas for, but it's the one place in our house that's like stayed organized for 2 years and it doesn't get cluttered. Everything is organized. I know where everything is.
Everything has a
And I
place to
walk in
go.
there and it's just like, it's delightful. It's the only place in our house where I walk in. It's just like very peaceful. I go in there and I get my clothes and I come out and it's just, and it's not a very big closet there, but we just got rid of a lot of stuff and stored it properly. So I feel like if I can do that there, hopefully I can get to the rest of the house.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to do like a one-time deep cleaning, just like throw away everything.
Oh my God, if you need help,
Okay.
I do this as a profession.
Oh, really?
So this is very convenient.
I didn't know that.
That's why I
that's
came.
cool.
No, seriously, I was like, did you see my post, my recent post?
So-
I literally, it's one of the things that I do is I help people in the process of releasing things, organizing.
I had no idea. That's
That is-
hilarious.
you know
so funny.
what?
I had no idea.
Today especially has been quite a magical day. Almost everything I say, is just kind of like bouncing back to me and manifesting in such interesting ways. And I'm like, oh, it's been so long. Yay. All right. I want this. I want this. I want this. So yeah. But yeah, I thought maybe because I had recently put a post again about looking for work, that's one of the things that I do.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll hit you up because I probably need some help with that.
Cool.
Yeah, so like that's interesting when you go and help people with that. Is it like you're going through their stuff or you're like helping them see things a different way?
It's a very you have to handle it with care, and it's a very thoughtful process because there are some things that are harder for people to release, and you recognize it as like they're holding on to it, or you walk into a space and you have an idea as to how things can really elevate it or just give it room and make it more breathable. I've always been like that. Like as a kid, I was the one organizing the kitchen in a way that I thought was really nice. And my mom hated it. But she, it's so funny. I love my mom. She was doing the parent thing. Oh, we need to clean. Let's clean. Everyone clean. Always cleaning, right? But we had like a wooden plaque in the kitchen. Dull women keep immaculate houses or whatever. You know what I mean? Like
It's a mixed message.
And it's like so interesting. And we were a chaotic house, 5 kids, and it was just all over the place. But I was always like moving things around, and in my room, it was like organized chaos. don't have anything. I love color, I love things, I love personality, I love, but does this make me feel good? And does this have a purpose? And do I need this many of this? Like one of my things that I notice every time I'm in a thrift store, because I'm still kind of creating the house that I'm living in right now, are mugs. I've noticed that I have a thing with mugs. And I'm always like looking at the mugs and then like grabbing some, putting in the cart and then putting them back. Like, yeah.
I love your home. It's very like it's a clean space. Like you go to like clean energy and just also clean. Like your living
clean a lot, yeah.
Like your living room is just like it's a magical place. You have all these little trinkets and stuff, but it's not like cluttered. Like it's like all like well thought out. Like you have a vision.
Yeah, things are still finding their place, but even when they're waiting to find their place, they're like together and happy.
Back to something you were saying earlier, like you said you have you started accumulating things. Is there like specific stuff?
Well, it's
Do you want me to start naming categories?
Yeah,
I can feel
maybe Liz can answer this better. Yeah, what things does Titan accumulate?
So I have a terrible problem with like stuff to build stuff, like project supplies. Like
Okay.
a lot of stuff.
Unfinished product stuff.
Yes, a lot of that, but also just everything. It's like I somehow, like we were talking about that, depression, era mentality. It's almost like I've absorbed that too from growing up with like,
No, I'm gonna need that one day.
Yeah, I'm gonna need that thing one day. And so I definitely have to fight that all the time.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So like stuff to do projects that haven't been done yet.
Yeah. Oh, I have. Yeah.
Maybe
3 lifetimes.
3 lifetimes, probably. Yeah.
Is that
day.
is some of that stuff
And then on your
handed down
screen.
from like
No, so this is all stuff that I've like picked up over time.
Okay.
But it's also, that's also the other thing is like, I can't pass up a good deal. That's that I went through a long period of that. So got a lot of that.
I might use this one day.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so funny. You're such a dad.
I know 100%. With this kind of thing, yes.
That's hilarious. I'm interested in like seeing a change in like the magical, like it's called the life-changing magic of tidying up. And I think I'm interested in seeing how like things unfold once I've applied some of this and like cleaned my space. Cause like I like I haven't like written on my book in a while. And when I'm doing a project, it's like I'm like a last minute like crammer, like for tests and stuff like that, like back in school. It's like it's like I know it would help me out to have like a clear mind, like do one thing at a time. I'm very much like a multitasker. Like I'm gonna do this and this and this and this and this all at the same time. And it's like I don't have a great memory, which is not a good thing to do when you are a multitasker. Or it's not good to be a multitasker when you have a shitty memory, because it's like unless I write things, I'm a big like writer.
Yeah, I have to write things down. Like, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It like otherwise I will forget it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I need a like physical I've actually been thinking about like I was telling you about some of the tattoos I want. But another one I want is like just something either like it says breathe or just something that reminds me to breathe, because I think like conscious breathing is really important. Like we only take in, like if you're just automatically breathing, you're only taking in the amount of oxygen that you need. Otherwise, like just the bare minimum to stay alive. Whereas like when I was at Muddy Roots, actually, like when in between bands, there wasn't a lot for me to do. So I was reading this, and also I was practicing, like, you guys know about the Wim Hof technique?
Yeah.
It's a breathing technique this guy is used to he can keep himself at his regular body temperature in like freezing water just by doing this breathing technique.
Yeah.
It extends his endurance for like long, arduous hikes.
I don't remember if it was the Himalayas or Everest that he climbed in boxers. Like
Crazy.
he's that kind of a person. Like he's stretched so many boundaries for humans. He's the model of studies for so many people in the world. It's like scientists and whatnot. He's really cool.
I was like getting high off of oxygen, like just taking in, like
yeah,
breathing.
totally breath work.
So this is Wimp, WIMHOFF.
Wim
Yes,
Huh.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like conscious breathing is like, that's like the best advice you can give someone is breathe.
And it's that simple. It's beautiful.
Yeah. It's like really like that's like the best thing I've ever done is like conscious breathing and like remind myself to smile because like smiling can actually make you happy.
Yeah.
So like I want to get like because I have a shitty memory and can't remember anything, I'm gonna like actually get tattoos that remind me to do that.
Hey, I have a tattoo here as a memory. This was my first one. So, it's to remember all the positive things in life.
Oh, that's cool.
Just to like, yeah, it's like a reminder.
I love practical tattoos. Like I really don't like when people have like tribal sleeves that don't mean anything. Like it's like, what is that? I love tattoos that have meaning. I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
Like especially practical ones that's like it does something. Like it reminds you to do something or makes you feel a certain way or something like that. Yeah. I'm definitely interested after reading this to like watch her show and like see her in real time like do these things with people. Because I'm sure she gets like pushback. What's like in doing that yourself, like what's the weirdest thing you found when helping someone clean?
Well, you have to be really careful, like I said, careful because you can tell when someone feels like there's a very thin line between this really means something to this person and they're not ready to release it, and they want to release it, but they're a little hesitant. So that hesitation, in my opinion, is a green light to release it. But if you can tell the person's getting very protective and uncomfortable, that's where I say, okay, and you then turn it in from something that is, not ideal to something very special. And how can we highlight this, whatever it is? And then maybe later on it will be something that they'll release. But what have I found? I mean, I don't know. I don't come across too many like wackadoodle things because when you're at that point helping someone, it's so healing and so personal that they're ready for it, and that's why a lot of people, it really takes a special moment in time to tap into that, because you have to really surrender into the process. So the last thing you want to do is offer to organize someone's space before they even, you know what I mean?
They need to find you.
Yeah, and I've been
ready.
guilty of that because I see potential, right? I walk in, I'm like, and actually the one time recently that I did, this was like a year ago or something, that person did end up getting help around, their space, and it was a professional space, so they just had someone step into their work as a partner as well. So that was taken care of. I didn't do it, but it did happen. You know what I mean? Like I recognize that, like, okay, things can shift here. I enjoy it. It's always a positive experience for me, honestly.
I'm excited about it, like taking kind of control of my like space around me, and like something you were saying earlier about like just knowing what you have, and it like you were saying you had everything you had could fit in your car. If that was the case, like I would know where things are, and
Oh yeah,
and like before you got here I was talking about like I have stuff in like a storage unit, and like my house isn't organized either. So I don't know what I actually have. Like I'll be looking for something and I'm like, do I still have that? Or am I just not finding it? And it would be nice to know not only where things are, but like what I actually have and what I don't.
Yeah. You know where I leave that space for the maybe less organized space is the miscellaneous drawers. I kind of love that. I love that I have like 3 drawers. You know, they're in my kitchen at this moment, but then there's like space where I also have arts and crafts and stuff that I'm still going through, right? Okay. I'm still like moving in, but these drawers, I find release in just throwing whatever I need in there, knowing that if I was looking for something like a nail or a sticker or scissors or whatever, they're in there. I know they're in there, but they're not organized, but they're there. I don't know why, but like there's something about that.
You actually like that. Yeah, it's a
yeah.
It's a little journey, like going to look for it.
I'm not like, you know what I mean? It's very much just knowing where you need to look and understanding that everything has its place ish.
Something else we were talking about before you got here is like people have affinity with things like an enchanted object, like Hyatt was saying, he has certain tools he works with that like it just works better than another version of that tool. Or like a shoe that you've worn a long time, like it's broken in and it just feels right, versus like, or like a car where it's like driving that car, just it's not like driving a new car, like it's like it's so familiar. There's like a borderline like spiritual connection to certain things. Do you have things like that?
Absolutely. When I was learning, so a few years ago when I was going through my own personal journey in life and consciousness, I heard about feng shui and minimalism, and I was, tapping into a few spaces, documentaries. I read a little bit, but more like interviews, podcasts, the whole shebang. And I always knew that I wasn't extreme to any, but that I'm collecting information and I'm working on what feels good. Because you just want to feel good, right? Like that's to me the goal. How can I just always feel good? And we don't always feel good, but how can I make it my space at least always feel good so that when I'm not feeling good, I'm in that space and it can help me feel good, like a sanctuary.
Yeah.
So I see my house as my sanctuary, and that's always the goal. So I'm not very particular in any way. It's very intuitive at this point. Like I said before, it's like a muscle. You just get used to it. It becomes fine. Do that. You have this kind of process for everything. Did I answer your question? I don't even remember what you asked.
You're good. I would like what objects do you have like a special connection?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yes. Well, crystals.
Yeah.
My crystals for sure. Clothing. I love fashion. I think clothing really represent our inner selves. And, I think it's a very special thing. And I think I could also enjoy wearing the same thing every single day. I think that could be helpful. Like you don't have to worry about anything. You just put this one piece on. But
like a cartoon character, you have like 8 of the same outfit.
Oh my god!
I literally have that.
Really?
I wear stretch pants every day, and I usually have like a band t-shirt on almost every day. And I have I have my favorite band t-shirts. I wear like 5 or 6 of them. They'll eventually get worn out and I'll replace them or whatever. But that's what I wear almost every single day. It's amazing. And it like all time of year.
Incredible. I love that. Yeah.
Maybe it was because I wore uniforms in K through 9th that I kind of like got that in my mind. But it's like actually very freeing to like just like get up and not really like think too much about what you're putting on. Just wear the same thing every day.
I experienced that for 2 years in the Army.
Yeah.
It was freeing.
Yeah.
But then I was obsessing over my hair. No, but yeah, it's definitely it was easy. You're just like,
Yep.
Done.
If it works, it works. Yeah.
Yeah, but whenever I found like an outfit that I feel like super fun in, I'm like, oh, I want this forever and ever. Yeah.
We've been going for a little while, so we can kind of wrap up here. But there's one thing like here at the end where she was like we were talking about like kind of the weirdness of this person, this individual, this force of nature, and like some of the weird stuff she talks about. Um, just to kind of add on to that, she's talking about how her old cell phone. You remember this? She had a cell phone that she was like really attached to, and then when she got a new cell phone, she sent a text message to that old phone and was like, thank you for everything, for like helping me all that time. And then she picked up the old phone and like went to look at the message she sent to herself, and it died right there.
Oh my
Oh
gosh.
man.
Like the phone was like, I've served my purpose. You've released me.
Oh my gosh.
And just fucking dies.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's just so cool. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
No. Yes, very interesting. No comment. But I hugged a machine that I had for so many years for lapidery. It was this old factory machine that I had, and I moved it with me everywhere, and it was heavy, and it was just such a bitch at some point. But when I worked on it, because it also kept breaking, it was old, but I loved it, and I always tried to fix it. And whenever I'd work on my stones, it was just like pure joy, and I really got emotionally connected to it. And then I moved to a different country, and it was in storage for a year. And when I went back recently to just sell things and give things away, it was really important for me to pass it on to someone that was really, into that. And I ended up gifting it, actually, because I couldn't find someone to buy it. It was very last minute, but he was even ready to offer money. And I was like, no, because our conversation was just so cool. He was like, oh, I was just looking to complete my, things so I can start working. And I was like, take it. And I had to leave already. So I just covered it with a beautiful, like, tapestry, and I hugged it. I don't think I've ever done that with a thing. I literally hugged it, and I was just like, goodbye. It was very special. I miss it. Dang it.
We do have a bond with that's something like I really took away from this, is we have a bond with the things we form attachments to, and they take on a life of their own. And it's like, we should honor our stuff, the stuff we really care about.
Yeah.
Like Maria Kondo talks about how she when she gets home at the end of the day, she thanks her shoes for working so hard.
Oh, right.
And like puts them in a specific place, takes all of her stuff out of its purse. That way it's not like trapped underneath stuff.
Okay. Yeah. Well, see, there's very different.
She's kooky. She's crazy. I definitely think you'd love reading it.
I'm gonna give it a go.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a go.
But she's a very eccentric, wacky person. That with all due respect, like I think she's brilliant. She's like such a unique, amazing person. And I definitely want to check out her show now. So yeah. If any of what we've been talking about sounds interesting to you, definitely check out Maria Kondo's The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, the Japanese Art of Decluttering and Organizing. And then she also has another book called Spark Joy, which talks about you want to keep the things that make you happy and inspire you and nothing else. Only surround yourself with beautiful things. And then she has a show on Netflix too. Before we get out of here, what, you guys have a show Monday?
Yeah, we got one. We got all kinds of shows in October. So we got one Monday, October 2nd. We got one Wednesday, October 11th. We got Wednesday, October 25th, and Monday, October 30th. So busy October.
If you're a longtime watcher of the show, you're no stranger to cassette stress. But if you don't know already, you need to act somebody, because cassette stress is fucking awesome. They're one of, if not my favorite act in Nashville. And you guys have been working on some stuff that I know we're not talking about too much, but I'm looking forward to that too.
Okay. Cool.
Coming out later on. And then you definitely want to check out their shows that he just mentioned too. If not this upcoming Monday, then the other shows coming up in October. May, I know you've been writing, working on some stuff. Do you have any events or anything coming up?
I just pressed go on DistroKid yesterday. So my EP and second single will be released October 20th. and I am working on live music with a pianist, keyboard player. What do you say? Keyboard player or pianist?
It depends.
Keyboard. I just, you cannot think about penis when you say pianist.
I think those are different things though. Like pianist is
Pianist.
different from a keyboard player.
Well, she's both, because a pianist
okay.
is someone who plays the piano, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anywhoosies. We're building something really nice. Yeah, so that's cooking.
I'm
Cool.
looking forward to that too.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay, so do you have things up on DistroKid right now?
Yes, I have a single out on Spotify, all the channels, and more live stuff on Instagram.
And that is that under Maya Faye?
May Faye.
Check out Maya Faye. You are a refreshing breath of air.
Aw.
It's really cool seeing you perform because it's very
Thank you.
different than some of the other stuff we see. So.
Very cool. I appreciate that.
Oh, and next month we're doing The Vor by B. Catling. So I know you said you've read that
Yeah,
one
I've read
before.
that one.
Are you familiar with the rest of the series, or is it just the first one?
I've read that one. I know at least the second one. I can't remember if I read the third one or not. I have to go back and take
I'm
it.
really excited about that. That one. Shout out to Anastasia Elliott for recommending that one. I'm really excited about it. All I really know about it is that there's a forest
Mhm.
and people, it may or may not go on forever because people haven't, it's uncharted territory. So there's a guy who like sets out, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a guy who sets out to conquer this forest, and the mystery unfolds from there.
Yeah.
So
Ooh,
looking forward to
interesting.
that. Yeah, so thank you all for being here. It really means a lot to me. I
Thank you.
appreciate
for
you all.
having us.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do something completely different than this next month. See ya, Alice.
Who the fuck is Alice?
Alice is that camera right there.
Nice.